Buckle up for the most explosive TV showdown in history, Johnny Depp's unforgettable clash. With Whoopi Goldberg on The View, will leave you speechless. Get ready to dive into a story so wild, so raw, and so utterly mind-blowing it's already being hailed as the most shocking moment in daytime television history. Imagine this Hollywood's enigmatic icon Johnny Depp strides onto the set of View to promote his latest cinematic masterpiece, expecting a warm chat about his craft. Instead, he gets blindsided by a fiery, no-holds-barred confrontation that turns a routine interview into a battle royale for dignity, respect, and truth. This wasn't just a celebrity interview gone wrong. It was a heart-pounding, edging-your-seat-for clash, where one of cinema's biggest legends faced off against a host determined to tear him apart. Before we plunge into this electrifying saga, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below to share what you think really happened behind the scenes. Trust me, this is a story that'll have you talking for years. As the morning sun streamed through the studio windows, casting a tense golden glow across the set of View in New York City. The air buzzed with anticipation. Producers scurried about their excitement, almost tangible, whispering about the major when they'd secured Johnny Depp, the charismatic titan known for his iconic roles in Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands, and Sweeney Todd, was about to grace their stage his latest project, an independent film marking his triumphant return to serious acting after years of personal and legal storms. Was a passion project close to his heart. His team had chosen The View for its massive platform, hoping Johnny could share his redemption story with authenticity and grace. But what unfolded was far from the warm, meaningful conversation they'd envisioned. It was a clash of titans, a verbal slugfest that left everyone, host, audience, and viewers at home, completely stunned. Whoopi Goldberg, the show's powerhouse host and a force of nature in her own right, was in a foul mood from the moment she arrived. Crew members whispered about her snapping at makeup artists over minor details and barking at production assistants for trivial oversights. Some speculated her bad temper stemmed from a brutal review of her latest project, a comedy special that had flopped with critics. Others pointed to rumored tensions with network executives who were reportedly pressuring her to boost ratings. Whatever the cause, Whoopi was a ticking time bomb, her energy crackling with barely contained frustration, ready to explode at the slightest spark. Johnny, on the other hand, was the picture of charm and humility. He arrived at the studio with his signature laid-back vibe, greeting everyone from security guards to catering staff with genuine warmth. He cracked jokes with the other hosts, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, and Sunny Hostin, charming them with his wit and authenticity. Joy later described him as absolutely delightful, while Sarah gushed about how he complimented her jewelry and asked about her kids with sincerity that melted her heart. Even the typically reserved Sunny was laughing at his stories from film sets, tales of quirky directors and on-set mishaps that had her in stitches. But Whoopi, she kept her distance, her face buried in her notes, her intensity setting everyone on edge. The crew exchanged nervous glances, sensing a storm brewing. As the show kicked off, the hosts tackled the day's hot topics with their usual mix of humor, debate, and occasional shade, but there was an unmistakable undercurrent of tension. Whoopi seemed more combative than ever, cutting off her co-host mid-sentence, dismissing their opinions with barely concealed irritation. Her sharp tone and biting remarks made even the audience shift uncomfortably in their seats. When it came time to introduce Johnny, Joy's voice was warm and enthusiastic, praising his decades-long career, his versatility, and his bold artistic comeback. The audience roared with applause as Johnny walked out, flashing his famous lopsided smile and giving a small, humble wave. He settled into the guest chair with his trademark elegance, dressed in a black blazer over a vintage band tee, his rings glinting under the studio lights, his hair tied back in a loose ponytail. He looked relaxed, ready for what he thought would be a friendly, engaging chat. Johnny Depp, everyone, Joy announced with genuine excitement. Thank you so much for being here. We're huge fans. The pleasure's all mine, Johnny replied, his raspy voice carrying a familiar magnetic charm. I've always respected what you ladies do here. It takes real guts to tackle tough topics every day. Sarah jumped in, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Tell us about your new film, Johnny. What drew you to this project? Johnny's face lit up as he leaned forward, his passion for the project infectious. He described his character a broken man seeking redemption, a soul who finds hope in the most unexpected places. He spoke eloquently about the script's raw honesty, the director's bold vision, and the talented cast that brought it all to life. His enthusiasm was contagious, and the other hosts were clearly captivated, nodding along as he shared his thoughts. It sounds like a really personal project, Sunny observed, her tone thoughtful. Was there something about this character that hit home for you? Johnny paused, choosing his words carefully, his eyes reflecting a quiet vulnerability. I think anyone who's faced big challenges, who's had to rebuild themselves from scratch, can relate to this guy's journey. It's about finding your true self again after the world tries to define you. The audience was spellbound, hanging on. His every word, this was a Johnny Depp day. Adored, thoughtful, introspective, and deeply human. The interview was shaping up to be the heartfelt, inspiring conversation his team had hoped for. A moment for Johnny to shine and share his story of resilience, but then like a thunderclap shattering a clear sky, Whoopi spoke. That a very convenient narrative, she said, her voice slicing through the warmth like a blade. The studio seemed to freeze, the air sucked out of the room. But let's talk about what really happened during your public legal battles. Do you expect us to believe you're the victim? In all this, the other hosts stiffened their eyes, darting nervously. This wasn't on the planned question list. The audience shifted uncomfortably, sensing the shift from friendly chat to something far more confrontational. Johnny's expression flickered, a flash of surprise crossing his face, but he quickly regained his composure. I think the legal proceedings spoke for themselves, Whoopi, he said, his voice calm, but firm. I'm here to talk about my work, this film I'm proud of. But your work and personal life aren't separate, are they? Whoopi pressed, leaning forward aggressively, her eyes locked on him like a predator sizing up its prey. Your behavior affected your co-stars, your crew, your family. How do you justify that? The audience fell silent. The discomfort, palpable joy, tried to redirect her voice, faltering. Let's get back to film. Whoopi cut her off with sharp hand gesture, her eyes never leaving Johnny. No joy were not glossing over this. Johnny, you want to sell your redemption story, but you don't want to face the hard questions. Johnny took a deep breath, his jaw tightening, but his voice remained steady. I've never claimed to be perfect, and I've owned my mistakes, but I won't sit here and be ambushed with accusations that were settled in court. Ambush. Whoopi laughed to sound harsh and humorless, echoing through the studio. This is accountability. Johnny, something you seem to struggle with. You want sympathy, but you don't want to face the truth. The tension was electric, now a live wire sparking between them. Sarah and Sonny exchanged worried glances, while Joy looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Producers were scrambling in the control room, debating whether to cut to a commercial, but the cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of the escalating drama. Character assassination, Whoopi repeated, her voice rising as she leaned forward, her hands gripping the table. You did that to yourself. Johnny, you want sympathy? Then start by being honest about the damage you caused. Johnny leaned forward, his composure starting to fray, his eyes flashing with a mix of frustration and defiance. The only damage I see is what you're doing to this conversation. I came here in good faith to talk about an art project that means a world to me, and you've turned it into a personal vendetta. Personal vendetta. Whoopi shot back, her voice dripping with disdain. I don't know you personally, Johnny Depp, but I know your actions hurt real people, and they deserve better than your polished PR campaign. The other hosts tried to intervene, their voices overlapping in a desperate attempt to steer the conversation back to safer waters. But Johnny and Whoopi were locked in a battle, oblivious to everyone else. The audience was riveted, their gasps and murmurs filling the studio as the confrontation escalated. You want to talk about hurting people, Johnny said, his voice gaining an edge, his southern drawl sharpening. What about the people who believed in me, who supported me through the darkest times? What about the fans who stood by me? What about the truth, Whoopi? Does that matter to you? Or are you just here to tear people down? Whoopi slammed her hand on the table, the sound reverberating like a gunshot, making everyone jump. Don't lecture me about truth, young man, she snapped, her voice booming. I've been in this business longer than you've been alive. I know manipulation when I see it, and am looking at it right now. The audience gasped attention, no longer uncomfortable, but outright hostile. Johnny stood slowly, his movements deliberate, his eyes locked on Whoopi's. If you think this is manipulation, then you're not listening, he said, his voice low, but laced with steel. I came here to share something real, something that matters to me. But if you want to fight, Whoopi, you got one. The studio fell silent, the air thick with shock. The other hosts sat frozen, their mouths agape, as Johnny and Whoopi stared each other down. Two titans, refusing to back down. Producers frantically signaled to cut the commercial, but the damage was done. This wasn't just a heated exchange. It was a cultural moment, a clash that would dominate headlines, social media, and water cooler conversations for weeks. As the show cut to a break, the audience erupted in a mix of applause and murmurs, some cheering for Johnny's defiance, others stunned by Whoopi's unrelenting attack. Backstage chaos ensued. Johnny's team rushed to his side, their faces a mix of anger and disbelief, while Whoopi stormed off to her dressing room, her expression unreadable. The other hosts huddled together, whispering furiously, trying to process what had just happened. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Subscribe for more powerful stories.